Welcome to Macro Crest. We focus on fundamentals. First of all, let's start with Dixie. So this was my view on Dixie, but due to the CPI, weak CPI, and the rest, we might be seeing Dixie dropping to this end directly. And take a look at Dixie pairs, dollar pairs. What I do have is there is a supply on the AU, and this is internal range. This is a high, low, high, low, high. This is the new potential high. We expect a bounce off here, and maybe then we can see this because this is liquidity. Technically, I'm looking at this as liquidity, so this would be the target. But we would continue longing if we see opportunity. The same goes for the card. So this is our range. So we're talking about this cards zone, and now we are here in the zone. So remember, this is the range as a high, this is the low. This is liquidity. So I expect if there's a long here, fine, but if there is none, we know that this is a point to target. That's my view on. And then we have on the EU, the USD. Looking at this on daily time frame, we are quite we bearish overall, but looking at this, this is the bearish leg, so this is the pullback leg to continue to the downside. And I'm seeing price coming to 1.17 area, which if we look at this on the 4 hours, we can see clearly that this is our high, this is the low, and all this is internal range. This is internal range. So technically I'm looking for long somewhere here to continue higher before we can see because I'm expecting maybe a short somewhere here. So that's what I'm looking at for EU. In EU, there's a supply zone already at the top, so this was this range which played out perfectly. This is the range, this was the demand area, but it used the week, which I'm surprised to do, but nothing much about this, expecting price to continue higher. So on Monday, we could see an opportunity to long from a higher position. So if you have a break here, a break pullback, you can participate in the long. And the Swiss is the setup I'm looking at in terms of Swiss weakness. Yes, because if you remember, this is the analysis on the higher time frame, which we did on the daily time frame. Still bearish, weekly is bearish, so expect a continuation. There was a supply here on the 1 day candle, so we expect this low to be taken. And if you look at it on your 1 hour time frame, you can identify the supply, which is this. This was the supply. It's quite an interesting one because this was the internal low, this is the internal high, and we just tapped here. So this is internal, all this. So what I'm looking at, this is the next one, pullback, then you can take a shot. So that's all for dollar pairs. I have the Aussie card. Looking at this on the 1 hour, you can see that we are bearish. Now note on the daily, this is a range. It's just making so much consolidation. So this is due to both of them having similar strength. and this is a demand area, so I'm considering price getting there, and then this was a potential break. You can call it a liquidity grab, but the supply held, so I expect this low to be taken out. And if that's the case, if you look at it on your 1 hour, this is now the low, this is a high, so this is a low which I expect to be taken off, pull back in. We continue one more time today, loose. The Aussie is Aussie Swiss. This would be due to Swiss weakness. Looking at this, we expected this high to be taken out because it's liquidity on the weekly and it's correct, so we are bullish here. And this is a high, this is a low, this is a continuation, this is a break. So if you look at this on your daily time frame, this is a high, this is the low, so this is internal, it's a continuation from this point. And so this is a point, this is a demand that we might be expecting price to be coming down to. Well, we created a daily rally base rally on the 4 hours. You can see that on the 1 hour there is a range. So this is liquidity. All this is liquidity in my opinion. So technically, if price drops here, there is this demand area here. You might look at that for longs. This demand area. That's for that. Now we have the AUDJPY, and technically you're still looking at it as it's bullish, but we're looking at a bearish scenario to the downside because I'm looking at this as a bullish leg to continue to the downside. And the rally base rally has been created on the D1 time frame, and as you can see, we expect price to pull back and continue higher. We have BTC. This is on the weekly, still bearish. On the daily time frame, it is bearish. So this is the low I expect to be taken, and this was continuous setup to the downside, which I gave it out. And what we can see on the 4 hours is price is getting low. This is the low, this is the high. So this is internal range. I expect a pullback before we can see a short. So that's my view on BTC. I have my Euro NZD. So I'm strong bullish on NZD because they are still restrictive in the economic policies and fiscal policies. Looking at it on the daily, I'm looking at this as a low, a high, and technically price should go to the downside. That's how I'm looking at it. And I made mention of this supply zone prices using currently this supply zone. Talked about price reacting there, and now we have the second time, so this low should be taken off. I expect price to do this. That's my view on Euro NZD. I do have the pound card due to card strength, so I expect price should come as low as this point. Just in case if you see a setup, you can take down there. And one of my solid setups is the silver setup is, yes, I talked about the supply zone holding at some point, so I expected a high and a low. This was exactly how I viewed it. Watch the previous video to know that. And then this is a break, so this is a low after this point was taken out. This is liquidity, so I'm expecting price to that push higher and then drop to this point before going higher. So making it a high, a low, and then price going higher. The same goes for gold. Um, Gold, I expect price to continue higher from to liquidity area, but then there is this demand here, D1 demand. Looking at it on the 4 hours time frame, I expect price to. This is the first break. This is the second break, so it's a solid break or structure for me. And there's a demand below. So what I'm expecting is price should push higher to the supply and drop to this point and move as high as the zones I've been talking about in the previous videos. So that's all for the currencies, and for indices I only have my German 40 and UK 100. So German 40, as you can see, this is a high, this is a low, and I expect price to continue higher. If price should continue higher, then this is the zone we expect a bounce off from. But I would like price to go one more time, break structure before coming here. That's my view on that. But technically, also the lower zone is a high probability too. The UK 100 on the weekly, it's bullish. We have the internal range on the daily, which is this high. We have this low, and we talked about the zone. So this was never mitigated, so price should mitigate this point, and then you can see a push higher, but we can also see price move as low as the demand here. Looking at it on the 4 hours, let's take a look. Yes, there is demand there. This is high probability demand too. So let's see how the market unfolds.